On this episode of the No Limits podcast, I sat down at this table with Big Fish Bobby Lane from Florida and Justin Lucas, formerly of Northern California, now currently of Guntersville, Alabama, and learned some things that I certainly didn't know about the two. Did you know, for example, that Big Fish Bobby is a former college-level soccer player and that Justin Lucas, the former Angler of the Year, has fished for the last 2 years with a wrist injury? Just some of the facts you'll find out this episode of No Limits.
Whoa.
Oh, no, we very well might play golf this afternoon. Yeah, why not? I mean, golf can be played in all conditions.
Bobby's treating it like it's St. Andrews today, dude.
I want to go out there and see how I hit them in a little bit windy conditions. Because I didn't hit them good in calm conditions yesterday.
Probably only like 3 rounds, maybe.
Yeah, maybe 3
Nothing
or 4
crazy.
times.
Bobby for sure. Yeah. Dude, I suck at golf. I put on a front, man. I like golf. I like watching it. I like talking about it, but I suck at it. Yeah.
Here's
Seriously.
what's crazy.
Yeah.
His brother is a professional golfer and keeps me updated on him all the time. And I guess Lucas just picked up the fishing side of it. But
Actually,
I think if he practiced a little, he would find that swing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I do. Correct. No, I don't have a handicap. It's kind of weird. I live down there around in South Florida. I live around Andy Bean. And Andy Bean was a professional golfer. He won Bay Hill. He won several tournaments. All Andy wants to do is fish. And all I want to do is golf when I got my time off. So we can't meet in the middle. But Andy's given me some tips and tricks. But, it's just a fun game. You can get out, ride around. I take my kids sometimes, try to play in a little group on Fridays. And it seems like it's kind of like fishing. The more you do it, the better you become. And the more you golf, you always have that one shot that brings you back to the next round. And yesterday, I can't say that I had a shot that really wants to get me out there again. But I am up north, and it's a little bit cooler. So it's nice to get out there and just enjoy, God's country. That's what I love to do. That's the reason I fish also.
Oh.
Yeah, Hackney probably has the worst swing ever that I've seen on a golfer, and I would say that Brett Hite actually can throw the club further than he can hit the ball.
I remember that, dude. I remember that. Yeah, Brett wasn't too impressive. He'll get mad at me for saying that, but
yeah.
He is. Yeah, maybe that's why it's so awkward looking. But I mean, the thing we do more than anything is gamble on golf tournaments.
Yeah, we really do.
Every major, we have a little group, $100 a person. If your dude wins, you get $400 or $500. But I got to get out of that, man, because I keep losing. Like I'm down like $600 this year from stupid golf bets.
Well, if you would bet on Spieth every time, that's what my brother does. It's Jordan Spieth. My brother spells it Jordan Spieth. So he takes that guy every time, and it's just enough to keep him going. And then we do.
I take Rory, but Rory, I always get him when he he played at home at Royal Portrush or whatever, right?
Yep.
And he shot like a +8 the first day. And I wake up in the morning and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, dude.
Yep. Almost dead last, comes back, almost makes the cut.
It doesn't take long after I wake up. I get a text from him. Your horse is really kicking butt today, No, we have like 4 or 5 dudes. Mostly from Berkeley and then his brother, too.
Yeah, we'll send out a group text to a group of guys and say, here's who, like Lucas usually gets first pick because he's usually lost the most. And
I should just pick Brooks every time, but I don't know. I can't do it.
We pick one golfer, and then we usually, like the winner would pick last. So, here's pick who you want in the top 10, and that's usually what we do. So
it's hard, though, dude. It is hard.
Yeah.
It's
and the
really
golfers
hard.
are so good now. Justin Thomas just won out in China or Japan, wherever he was yesterday. I mean, that guy's – I used to pick him, and then he got a wrist injury. And, We keep up on it though. We keep up on golf a lot more than we do in fishing. Lucas never texts me, "Hey, who won the Costa or who did what in FLW or BASS?" We don't care about none of that. It's all about.
He's like, "Did you see Ches Reavie shoot an 8 under today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." Okay, I'm in on that. Really?
Yeah.
I think that's a generational thing. I don't know too many guys my age that are just like little sharks on the pool table.
Yeah, I think.
But we're good at cornhole bags. Yeah, I'm good at that. But I'm out on that little game over there with 12 balls or whatever. I don't know, man. It's just not attractive to me. I like ping pong though. I do like ping pong. Yeah. I mean, you know, if I got my shoes tied tight and I got my nice athletic shoes on, you know, yeah. You know, hey man, just depends what type of game I bring that day. I'll probably come by this week. I'll probably come by. No, I'm out. Yeah.
No, I've played foosball, but
that's for the birds.
Yeah,
dude.
that's for the birds. That foosball's no good. We used to have a pool table in the house. My dad was a shark when he was younger. Yeah, he was. My brother's pretty good at pool, but mediocre at both probably. I would not bet what we bet in golf and against other play on foosball or ping pong or pool. But yeah, I think it's just the competitiveness in all of us that attracts us to anything really with a challenge. I know at the last event we were at, they were having a big basketball fiasco out there, and everybody joined in, and there was some guys that can shoot some hoops now, but there's some guys that couldn't make a shot period, about like me now. Lucas shoots quite a bit of basketball. I think he would probably.
I lost $20 to Wheeler at that event, though. I'll admit that. I got a little cocky too early. Hadn't shot in probably 8 months, and yeah, I did lose. It is. I don't know how it goes in.
It's about like Boyd Duckett's cast. It's
yeah.
ugly, but it's efficient.
There's a couple guys who were.
No,
not as tall as he is.
He's pretty fit, athletic dude for his like.
How about Jason Christie? How good was
he? Yeah.
Okay.
Who?
Oh
No way.
wow! I wouldn't think he even knew what a basketball was.
He loves football. Yeah, I can see Vincent.
That's surprising.
Yeah, I can see Vincent.
How about Mark Rose? I saw him out there quite often. Wow.
Really?
Huh.
Wow. Yeah, he's athletic, dude.
At all. Like,
It's just. Eesh. Wow.
No, it's not. Very frustrating too. Yep.
Well, I mean, we got to cast like 3,000 times a day, so I mean, it probably, we don't realize it, but our hand-eye coordination is probably not that bad. I never even thought about that, but
there's a difference between casting, pitching, skipping, whatnot. You know, I mean, hands down, we all know that there's probably nobody better in the game, and I'm going to pick two, than Andy Montgomery and Andy Morgan at putting a bait.
Yeah.
In a area that probably half of us would fall maybe 5 to 10 inches short on.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are just absolutely phenomenal at that. And then if you go to casting, I mean, if it's a long distance cast, the guy sitting next to me right here, Justin Lucas, I have honestly watched him throw 30-pound braid completely off the reel. And what's odd about this is he throws with his left hand.
I do.
And he reels
I'm
with
right-handed,
his right,
but I cast
he
left-handed.
throws with his left hand, and the guy can flat throw a plug twice as far as I can. And I really thought I could cast far.
I don't know.
And it was
dude.
impressive.
I can throw things far. I can throw a football probably like 60 yards. Yeah. I don't know how. I don't know why, but I can cast pretty far too. I did. Yeah, I was like Bobby's World. I was the smallest kid on the team with the biggest head. It was bad, dude. I swear, I'd like the smallest kid on the team, always batted ninth, always bunted. But I would go and grab the biggest helmet, the extra large, because that was all. Yeah. Yeah, but no, I did. I love playing baseball. I've just always been able to throw things. I remember when I first moved to Alabama, my buddy Devin, and we're hanging out with all his friends. They're huge Alabama fans. They're like, come over and watch the football. I'm like, all right, we'll come over. And this is like 9 years ago now, but they're like out front throwing the football. And they're like, can you throw a football? I'm like, well, yeah. And I grab it and just huck it. And they're like,
whoa,
do that again. So they throw it back and I throw it again. And then we were at the Phoenix Boats office one time. Gary might not like me telling this story, but I'll tell it anyway. They didn't believe me that I could throw a football, a long ways. So we get out there and we start hucking a football around, and I bomb a few, and then I fire a couple to Gary, like pretty hard ones. And he just walks in the office and don't see him again. And I don't see him again at all. And then 2 weeks later I get a text from him, and it's an x-ray of his finger. He's like, you broke my damn finger when we were playing football. Yeah. So I broke my boss's finger.
He's got an arm. We know.
Yeah.
We know who to put in our fantasy league when it comes to football throwing at Major League. That's for sure.
I'll say this though. It's not, I think I lost some a lot of people don't know this. I tripped on Paul Nick's dog last year and tore the ligament in my wrist 100%. Still torn. I have to have surgery. It's like a 6-month recovery, so I've been putting it off. But last year when I won Angler Year, I was taking 800,000 milligrams of ibuprofen for several days in a row to get through the year. Yeah, but it's my throw now. If I go start throwing a baseball and start to throw it hard, it's not the same. Grip's fine. It's whipping the wrist and then a push-up. I can't do push-ups anymore.
Does it affect your fishing at all?
Not at all, because I cast left-handed.
But of course you reel and pull
but I
right-handed.
reel
None
right-handed.
of that has any effect?
The only thing is whipping the wrist and a push, pushing it. If I hop in the tailgate of my truck, I put my fist down. That's why you can see on this knuckle right there, I'm wearing down a spot on it from anytime I get up, I have to put it down like that. I don't know, man. Maybe never, honestly. I went to a guy actually, Matt Smith, the orthopedic surgeon in North Alabama. He's going to, I think, be our doctor for MLF maybe. But anyway, I went and saw him, and he's like, look, man, he's like, it might never bother you. You're going to get arthritis in it faster. But he goes, you might be able to get surgery 20 years from now, and, there might be better practices for it then anyway. But, dude, they straight up, put a rod in your don't watch YouTube videos on the surgery you might have, because this dude, the first one I watched, he had a metal rod, sticking out here. With it's all bandaged up, but the rod was out here, and you could see it coming out of his skin. And I'm like, I'm out.
Not gonna work.
So yeah, yeah. Honestly, the worst thing is I'm like, dude, when Cooper starts playing baseball, my little guy, I'm like, I just want to be able to make sure I can get out there and play with him and throw with him and everything, and not have an issue. So I think it'll be fine, but we got to play it year by year now. Seriously, dude. 6 months is that's a long time. But wrist surgeries are hardcore. It's not and dude, it's my dominant hand, so it's you don't want to just do that. So
what did you think about the casters?
The casters.
Who's the furthest caster?
I agree. Oh, dude, 100%.
How about just casting though?
Just bombing?
And if you can't pick yourself, of course. Making an accurate cast.
Bomb accurate cast. You know, Jordan wasn't bad.
Jordan Lee.
He wasn't bad. And he's a little toothpick, dude, but he can bomb him.
You know, it sounds like the young guys have taken over the casting here, Joel. I didn't hear anybody over the age of 40 get picked at all.
But they're all accurate.
I've watched Justin Adkins flat sail a plug too now, but accuracy was an issue there with him. But, at least we agree on the best pitching.
Dude,
for
100%.
casting,
I was fishing a shad spawn bite at Kentucky Lake last year. You remember this?
Yep.
And got in the same marina as Andy Montgomery, and it was literally like you took the wind out of my sails. Like, dude, like
every dock Justin's going by is going ding dong, and there's Andy putting one in the live well.
I'm catching. That's literally how
exactly.
It was. And I'm catching like the 1.5-pounders that are out on the edge of the docks, and he's catching threes back under there.
You scared out from hitting a pontoon boat or something.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Yep. I was.
Really?
I actually was going to, when I was in high school, I was in track and soccer. I was super lightning fast.
What?
I was one of the absolute fast. I can't remember what I run the quarter in, but it was the fastest on the team. And it was, in track, they put me in the half mile and mile. And quickly they realized that I would knock the first half of the mile or the first quarter of the mile out, but then I would, I remember coming into a track, into the banner where you would win, and I am leading by, and I looked back and the guys are back there and we only have maybe, the last quarter mile to go. And I'm like, I got this. And then out of nowhere, my legs just shut down. So I took off from the line and blow everybody off. And I'm like, I got this. And I remember looking at my mom and dad up in the bleachers, of course, back in, high school. Not many people go to track meets, but my dad's like, come on. And I'm like, I got no more. I was holding my hands up and I was trying everything and my legs would just not go. And I ended up finishing third in that race. But I mean, I was literally just burned out. And that's when they realized put me in just a quarter-mile track.
So you were a sprinter.
I could fly by them. Built for speed, not for distance. And then, my brother, Chris, he's bigger, twice the size of me. And we didn't have a football team growing up, but we played soccer. He was actually the goalie. And I was going to have a scholarship going to Virginia to play soccer, and I tore my ACL.
Dude, are you kidding me right now? I would have never known this.
My junior year, I actually injured my knee and kept playing, kind of about like Lucas said with his wrist, and visited Virginia, stayed there for a week. They were going to give me a scholarship. I was accepted, and in my senior year, I tore my ACL, had to have surgery on my left knee. And, of course, that put me out for quite some time and slowed down the soccer playing. And, down in Florida, there's just a ton of growth all the time in the grass and the things. And somehow I got involved in some lawn business. I was actually working for a guy on the side. And then I did that for a while. And then I started up my own. I went to college. I was so close to getting a horticulture degree, but business was picking up so quick that I didn't have time for college, so I got out of that. And it was Mobile Delta in 2001 or 2002 when I got a $10,000 check at a BFL All-American, and from there on is when I started my fishing career. But where the build came from, I really think, is from the lawn business, just constantly trimming trees and bushes with hurricanes and always moving heavy equipment. I just got a little bit thicker. And then, of course, older and drinking beer, you gain it on the bottom end. So that's where the bottom end comes from. But the fishing has just always been a passion, man. I've kind of forgotten about all that. I mean, I love talking about it, but
dude, it's cool to hear that.
I love to fish
I love
from day
hearing that
one.
stuff.
I mean, I used to take we had a Ford station wagon was the car we had that we split between my three brothers. Arnie had it first, then it got passed down to me, and then it went to Chris. And when I had it, I would take a 10-foot John boat that weighed nothing and put that on the top of that station wagon. And if we drove it anywhere to dump it in a lake, I mean, the minute we were done with school, before school, if it was a day off, it was dawn to dark. And I mean, that was what we really, really loved to do. And kind of shows. My brother's a Bassmaster Classic champion. I'm a world champion. And it's our careers have come a long way. And it's all because of those hard, the harder times we faced when we were younger, learning tough days and harder days, and then getting to where we are now. It's kind of cool where it all started, and to see that we're still following our dreams that we had when we were kids. Arnie is very good. Arnie, of course, fishes around home more. He works for my dad. But Arnie, the problem with Arnie, it's just like playing golf. Arnie is the best golfer out of all three of us put together. But Arnie has, it's too much pressure. Arnie can't handle the pressure at all. When you got, which used to be a big entry fee into a tournament, or you're down to the last event and you're trying to qualify for the championship and you got to have a good finish. You put Arnie in a sand trap, and I remember asking my dad one time, I said, Arnie was playing great golf. I said, is he going to get up and down from here? Well, I think it was a scramble we were in, and my dad says there's no way. He gets too much pressure put on him, and he knows this is the shot that counts, and he duffed it out of the sand trap.
Really?
It was just a weird deal, and I think that's why Arnie probably never went professional bass fishing, because Justin will tell you, just like the rest of the guys, it is tough to get in the business starting out. I mean, you gotta either be come from a spoon-fed family, or you gotta have a true passion for it, and you gotta put a bunch of fish up on the leaderboard all the time to grow your sponsorship. And Arnie, I think the money was an issue. He didn't want to put up $5,000-$10,000 to fish for just a little bit more. And of course, you always hear the stories of the guys that didn't make it, and where are they now? And there was always that if, and that was me and Chris are. We don't care about the ifs. You bring it on, and we'll take it. We'll take it no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, give Chris the worst odds in the world, and he'll still bet you double of what you wanted to bet him.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
You could say, Chris, these guys are going to lose. Chris, the Gators are favored by 10 points. I don't care. Give me the Gators straight up. Chris, I just gave you 10 points. I don't want the points. I want the Gators straight up.
That's
I mean,
true, man.
It is. And Lucas
all
spends
these
a lot of
guys
time
are,
with him.
bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs.
Yep.
They all want to be the guy at bat. Seriously. If you don't, you're not here at this level.
Yeah.
There's
and
no
most
way.
of the guys can handle the pressure, because we fish enough events and been around enough that we know what it takes. And sometimes I swear it's a little bit of luck, but when that fish does get on, if you handle it properly and don't get you're like, God, why did I do that? I can't believe that just cost me the tournament. But then sometimes you could hang him in a tree and trolling motor over him 4 times, and he stays hooked up, and you still win the tournament.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So
AOY tournament for me last year, for sure.
Yeah.
That was because, 8-point lead or whatever going into the last tournament. Yeah. It was good. It was good. But that was a lot of pressure. But like Bobby's saying, like, I wanted the ball. Give me the ball. Like,
yeah.
Don't screw this up. Like, everybody's watching, don't screw this up. And dude, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I don't think you can be in that situation and not put pressure on yourself, but it's how you play with the pressure on you that changes, whether you're the guy that's going to, come out on top of it or
I think what was phenomenal about that year is the year before, I think you had one of your worst finishes ever in the points.
Finished like 62nd.
To watch him overcome that to be Angler of the Year. And of course, me and Justin talked quite a bit in our off season and whatnot about fishing, and to watch him go from something that might have been working that day and switch gears, I was like, wow, this guy's he's on a mission this year. And he would turn a 80th place into a 50th place, not get paid, but survive, and came out on top that year. I thought it was super impressive. I'm more of the consistent fisherman. I haven't won a ton, but I've won a few. But to watch him, I've never had a bad year like him, or a bad year, and then go back and absolutely knock their lights out. I mean, that was that's what was cool.
How many years in a row have you made a championship?
Every
Classic or
every year.
It's unbelievable. Like, there's not many people on that level of being able to say what he just said.
It's I don't know. It's like you get that little sixth sense or something that just says, push a little harder or try something a little different or stick with what works. I mean, that's what kind of me. But I think if you had to ask me that, Joel, the most pressure I faced recently was probably, you know, I made a real bad decision in the last tournament we had up there at Green Lake on the Bass Pro Tour when Cliff Pace got me into knocked me, and I ended up second. But if I felt the pressure coming. I knew I was on the right pattern, and I had honestly found a spot that I was so clued in on. I knew what they were doing, and I knew how to catch them, which put a little extra pressure on me. And for some reason, and I'm still trying to figure it out, but I left that area, and when I came back, I started catching them again, and I felt the pressure right then, like I got a shot to win this event. I am doing what it's going to take to win. And I handled it properly, I think. I missed a few fish. I think I fished way too fast. But I think the reason I did that was because of the pressure that Cliff was putting on me. Yeah. And it was a 2-horse race, and I haven't been in one of those in a long time. And unfortunately, I didn't win the tournament, but you know, finished second to Cliff. But I think the pressure made me fish faster. It made me say, okay, I need to do this and I need to do that. And I'm hoping that I thought about that the other day on my drive up to where we had to go up north, that I hope I handle that better, because I did not handle that pressure well. And I truly believe that the spot I had found was more than enough to beat Cliff. Now, he had a heck of a day, nothing being said. I mean, he killed him. Don't take nothing from Cliff Pace, but I think I did not handle that pressure well. So hopefully I can make up for it next time.
And also split your shin open. Was it your shin?
I still have a pretty good chunk. Actually, you can see what
Dude.
it was. That
yeah,
was
you do.
4 months ago. But yeah, I dove in the back deck and caught a 3-pounder.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Wide open. My daughter, my wife's like, well, do they have a medic there? And my daughter's texting me going, suck it up, Buttercup. And I'm like, oh, boy, I put my foot in my mouth on that one. So that's about what you get from the Lane family, though. I mean, I swear, you get hurt or injured, and it's no sympathy at all. It's get your ass back out there and figure it out.
I've heard some stories.
Yeah, there's quite a few, actually. Somebody was bringing that up in our old and when we lived with our parents. My brother threw me through a wall one time, and we actually duct taped the wall back together, thinking our parents would not see it. It was a piece of drywall that was 5 by 5, where Chris threw me through the wall. Or I can't remember how it all went down, but we duct taped it with the silver duct tape on a white wall.
That's
back
awesome.
Together. When they
That
pulled
is
up, they're
awesome.
like, what the hell is this? And he did it. But yeah, we had fun when we were younger. We did. And we have fun now. I mean, we really do. We're grown up. We all got kids. And whew, boy, I'm telling you, the kids coming up that we got are special. They're going to be special too. I think Cal's probably going to be the next hotshot
Dude,
bass
he's
fisherman,
catching
to
them.
be honest.
He is catching them.
He's got a true passion for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Or before, we were just watching TNN on Saturdays, and that and reading Bassmaster magazine or whatever back in the day, and that was, we didn't have like when I was 14. I don't think I had internet. Like, it wasn't on wasn't on MajorLeagueFishing.com or whatever. But anyway, yeah, it was. You just sit there and look at it and go, man, that'd be cool to do that one day. Huh. Who? That was like 2011.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ron Lappin,
No.
National Guard.
I don't know. Might be younger than that.
That's out west, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Not sure.
Looks like the Delta or something.
Well, tournaments I was 13.
Wow.
But my little kickstart was getting out of high school, and I was 19, and the kid I was fishing with was 16, John Billheimer, and we won a boat right when I got out of high school. And then 4 months later, I won a Stren series as a co-angler, so I won another boat. So I was 19, I was living at home, I had 2 brand new boats, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. Yeah, you know,
Yep.
and that was my little kickstart to it. But yeah.
Yeah.
And not having a boat payment when you're 19, you know. So I'd still tell everybody, like, a Jordan Lee is an exception to come up through college fishing and then just jump to the pro ranks like he did. That is a rare exception. You can still learn a ton being a co-angler and also have the opportunity to win a boat. And even if it's a 17.5 foot boat with the 125 or whatever, just pay to upgrade, you know, at least the upgrade fee's not going to cost as much to get an 18 or 19 footer. So I still highly recommend co-angling, you know, to younger guys. 3, I think. 3, yeah. So.
I fished all the local stuff when I was 18, 19, but I did not start professional bass fishing till I was 29 years old.
Was that when the Mobile
28
thing
years
was?
old. Yeah, I didn't fish my first BFL till like 2002 or 3.
Gotcha.
I was in the lawn business and just said, I like this fishing stuff a little better. Always liked it, but didn't really know. And then my brother, Chris, was actually the one that led me into, because I said, if Chris can do it, we fish the same. He made a regional on Lake Watery and said he jumped off like a 3-pounder to make it to the All-American. And I'm like, wow, he made it to the regional. I said, if he can make it, me and Arnie should be able to make it, because we all fish the same and we all fish together. So I jumped in the first BFL and went to the regional, then went to the almost won the regional, and then almost won the All-American, and went straight into the Stren series, or EverStart series back then. Won a couple of those, and then straight to the FLW Tour, straight to the Opens, straight to the Elites, and then straight to Major League Fishing. I mean, it seems like it was so quick, but if you look at it back, I mean, it was just every tournament was just go, go, go. Take the good with the bad. And I think, I'm telling you, what really kind of turned the corner for me was I was always a power fisherman. Of course, I grew up in Florida. I knew everything about Florida and how to catch them no matter what time of the year or when to go. But when I fished FLW, I took some serious butt kickings. And I remember they came from guys like Mike Iaconelli. They came from guys like Luke Clausen. And what was going on was when the shaky head was kind of coming out and the drop shot was starting to become more of a bigger player in these other lakes. And I was still going to Lake Beaver, flipping 65-pound braid with a tube, coming off 3 top 10s, going, I'm going to kill them, flipping a tube or flipping this and that. And I took a bad hit there and took another couple of hits. And what was going on is I didn't even have a spinning rod. Like, didn't not even know what a spinning rod was, didn't know what line to use. A shaky head had no sense. And I made that turn after that year. I made a change and said, I'm going to start learning this. And luckily, me and Justin both have a great sponsor, Pure Fishing and Abu Garcia, that have all the rods and reels we need. And I said, guys, I need to figure some of this stuff out. And when they got me those rods and reels, and I started mingling with other guys like Justin eventually on different baits to use and ways to throw them, it just became so much easier. I could go to the same place that I would flip a big old jig or a bait in that nothing's going to bite because it just wasn't the right bait, and catch 2 or 3 fish. And that's what's really becoming more versatile is what got me where I'm at today. That's what I've had to learn.
Dude, he catches them on a spinning rod. Did you watch Table Rock this year? Yeah. Yeah. He catches
smallmouth.
I was just going to say, he catches smallmouth on a spinning rod really well too. So,
you know, I think fishing is a true legacy sport. I really do. I think I don't think there's a bad age right now. Guys that are 50, 60 years old are catching them just as good as some of the younger guys. The younger guys have better, definitely know how to work the graphs and understand what's going on as far as electronics, and the electronics have come so far from where we were. But I really, truly believe that's why we don't see a ton of young just rock stars in fishing. I mean, we get some, and they're very good, but you also see guys like Edwin Evers and Jason Christie, Greg Hackney. I mean, we're getting up there in age a little bit, but they're still very competitive and still winning events all the time. But because I think it's strictly it comes from experience.
I've always said a fisherman is in their prime, like late 30s to mid to late 40s. There's a section there where you're still, a go-getter enough, competitive enough, where you can go out and practice all day like he does, and you have enough knowledge at that point where it's like those two combined together. And there's no other way to get that knowledge other than doing it. And people are always like, well, how do I get there? It's like, well, just start where you can afford to fish. And if you're good enough, you're going to start winning enough money there to go to the next level. If you just follow that, like, hey, I want enough money here, I can pay for the next level. Like, if you follow that pattern, you're going to be good enough to make it. But if you're not, you'll kind of hit a point where you stall out. Like, you just can't get past a BFL regional, or whatever. And that, if it happened to me, you just at some point maybe have to accept that. You can't keep trying forever, obviously. But, that's the thing. If you're good enough and you're beating everybody and taking their money, and you can go to the next level and pay for it with their money and then do it all over again, keep climbing, because right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. It's all real time too.
See, like, right. I used to go back through and, like, I remember looking at his stats and Andy Morgan's, Greg Hackney's. These are all guys that killed it in BFL levels too. Right. And I remember being a teenager looking at their BFL stats going, okay, so this is how they did there. And then they moved up to the Strens and they all won there. Like, right. So I'm on the right track here, even though I didn't have BFLs, but I was paying attention to it. For sure. Right. Right. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Seriously. Yeah. 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 You just can't skip steps, man. Jordan Lee's an exception. You look at him; he's an exception. Even Wheeler started at the BFLs, didn't do any co-English stuff. He's an exception. But you can't look at those guys. They're like the elite, star athletes of any sport, right? They're, a Rory McIlroy, a Jordan Spieth. So look at it like how, let's be realistic here. How are most of the guys making it? Okay, that's the path I want to go. Right. And if you do it that way, if you're good enough, you might be a Jordan Lee.
Then, I mean, I fished a huge high school tournament down there in December, and we got guys from Okeechobee all the way around. And honestly, right now, there might be 2 guys out of 5,000 high schoolers that I know that would have maybe a shot at going to the next level. I mean, I've fished with them and I've watched them and I've listened to their dads and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I do a ton for the high school in town, but if I had to pick out of all of them, I would pick 2 of them right now. And I would say that probably just one of them would eventually go pro. And I mean, that's out of all the kids I know in Florida right now. I mean, that's a small number. And it's kind of like golf, with the Korn Ferry Tour and whatnot.
Right.
I mean, these guys go through these brutal playing all year long, and you have to, I mean, all the golfers hit the same shot almost, and they all make the same putts. They all practice the same. And it's hard to get to that next level because your competition is identical to what you are. But once you get here, you solidify yourself for sure. And then it's just a matter of just keep going. But I think the grassroots program and whatnot I mean, I've never seen so many kids involved in fishing in my life. But getting to where we're at, I think it's you have to have something like Justin's saying, looked at the stats, and then first 2 tournaments he goes and wins a boat. I mean, them kind of days are pretty much over for a lot of guys because of just some of the changes that a lot of us have. But it's tougher to get to where we're at now. And we see guys like Justin, guys like Jordan Lee is an exception, of course, but Jacob Wheeler's, some of these, Mark Daniels Jr., there's only 3 or 4 that come up every couple of years. It's not 20 come up in 1 year. And I, like I said, I think it's because the knowledge that you gain the more you're in the fishing.
Yeah. Edwin had an exceptional year this year by any standard.
Sure he did.
For his first 4 events, like I think it was probably the best first half of the season anyone has ever.
It was freaky.
Yeah.
Freaky good, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he'll admit, he says flat out, and part of the reason why I did so well this year is because I've got the maturity to understand things.
Yeah.
You can see that in him, too.
Yeah, yeah.
And Edwin had like me. I had fished. Justin comes to the Bass Pro Tour this year, never even fishing one of the Bass Pro Tour events or under that format ever, maybe in one cup event or a select event. But a lot of these guys that was new to. Edwin's been in it since day one like us. We understood it, and I thought that was going to be somewhat of an advantage a little bit. But to watch a guy like Jeff Sprague, who has never fished that way in that way in his life, to go toe-to-toe with the amazing year that Edwin did, I thought that was pretty impressive. When you've taken a guy from completely what he's done for maybe 5 years. I think he fished the FLW Tour. He was consistent, but he never won. He was kind of, the nobody. And then he came over to Major League Fishing, and to hold his status with a guy like Edwin Evers, who's won the Classic, he's won the Red Crest now, he's won a Cup event, he's won a lot. To hold stats with that, I thought Jeff Sprague had a phenomenal year on that end of it.
He did. Absolutely did.
That was pretty cool. Wow. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that picture.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I
think he's like 22, though, in there. Did he win that tournament? Was that Bugs Island or was it Santee Cooper? Yeah. I remember that.
He's a hammer, boy. I can tell you, man.
Oh, yeah.
He's you don't want him breathing down your neck in any event. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I truly believe that.
That's cool. That's cool. They kept
I looked
him.
at some. I was actually holding my daughter. The first one was at Lake Kissimmee, and I ended up finishing third. I only caught 2 fish on the final day, but I remember holding my 1-year-old in that one, and she's 15 now, so that
there
was
you go.
14 years ago.
Let's see it.
Yeah, there it is.
Let's see it.
Yeah.
Oh, track star himself,
Yeah,
dude.
there he is. Wow.
That's awesome.
Yep. That was the start of it all. I have been spider wired a long time.
Dude, we've both been
now I'm
working
actually,
with
power
Pure
bait.
Fishing for...
I've started my very first sponsor was that pink spider wire boat that I had in FLW and Yamaha. Yeah, and Minn Kota. I mean, it's been
it's like 12 years for me.
It's been
at least
that long for me.
Yeah.
And it's the best decision I've ever made in my life to continue to grow with that company. It's just been wonderful. Really has been.
Oh,
You got to go get it.
yeah.
When I was growing up, it was the more fish you put on the stage, the more the sponsors called you.
Yeah.
I still believe, and I tell every kid that you got into this because you love bass fishing. You didn't get in it because you're a great promoter on the stage. Oh, I can't even look at the camera. I'm like, well, that'll come. But remember, you got in this catching fish, and I think Justin will have a lot more influence on sponsorship for sure. But I think if you still catch as many fish as you're supposed to catch, or your biggest fish you're supposed to catch, that in the long run, people, if your name's at the top, people recognize you. Then you got a leg to stand on. If you go at it backwards, I think it's different. But Justin definitely has a lot. That's the way my career went, was always catching fish, putting them on the stage. But, now there is better opportunities for sponsors. But, the ones that I started with, believe it or not, most of them I still got to this day. So it's pretty cool.
Logos are pretty much the same.
Yeah, I like to surround myself with good companies, and I mean, you know, you want to get with companies that are moving the needle too. I mean, guys that are what's the next best thing? I mean, I went from a oil motor to my SHO now, and I mean that thing has been bulletproof for 12, 15 years, however long I've been with them, and trusting that thing every time. But most of my sponsorship came from catching fish, and I think the younger guys coming in now, I think they got a little bit more hands-on social media. They know how to work it. They know how to work the system, and it actually gives them a little bit more an advantage than it does guys like me that have been in it a long time to get sponsorship quicker for sure. Now Justin's case, he caught fish, and he's great with sponsors. So I mean, it was a perfect scenario for him.
I was working at a tackle store too, and so I was meeting the reps for all the companies. And that was a big thing for me. And I knew another guy that ran another tackle store, and he ended up introducing me to the Pure Fishing rep in 2007 when I was working at this tackle store. So and then he was like, hey, start working with the rep, and you never know where that may lead. Well, he was right, because it wasn't 12 years later. That was 2007. Then when I qualified for the elites in 2014, I got a call. So it was like 7 years later, get a call from Pure Fishing. Hey, this is so-and-so. Would you be interested in running our app on the Elite Series? And I'm like, yeah, I would love to. And that's how it all worked. But that relationship got built 7 years before that. And that's what people don't see, is that you got to put yourself in a position, too, you got to be catching the fish, number one, but you also have to meet the right people, too. Those relationships are huge.
And never burn a bridge in this business, no matter what you think of that sponsor or what they've done to you. You always hold them up with respect, and and change is never a bad thing. We've seen plenty of changes here recently, but never burn a bridge, and because you never know which way it's going to go.
Burn, they might go work for one of the companies you already work for.
I've seen it happen, and I've done it. What are you doing over here? Oh, well, they hired me last year.
You're like, uh-oh.
Ooh, good. Hey, glad we left on good terms. How you doing, pal?
Exactly. Good to see you again.
Exactly. So remember that. I mean, that is something that my dad always told me. Of course, our family business does a lot for Disney, blah, 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 and it's the customer's always right. And I treat the, you got to make changes, but do them in the right way. Just not, okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
Born and raised right there. Never moved, and I've born in Tampa, and honestly live in Lakeland and have been there my whole entire life.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be the fisherman I am without having grown up out there, and I've said that before because, my parents owned a marine construction business, and they had it in the port of Sacramento. My dad had his tugboats and barges and dredges in there, and you could get there all the way from the ocean. So you come in through the San Francisco Bay, you come up the San Joaquin River, pretty close to where you caught them. Actually, remember where we were going under the bridge at Rio Vista and Brandon Island. And
is this on the Delta?
On the Delta.
Okay.
Yeah, where you were flipping.
I didn't even know your dad had that. Yeah. The tugboat company, man. That's pretty cool. I mean, you grew up around water your whole life.
Well, yeah, and I didn't like fishing until, I grew up around water my whole life, and it wasn't until I was 10, 11 years old that I actually, people have heard the story, but the catfishing birthday party my mom made me go to, I fell in love with fishing, and I'm like, this is cool. Every day after work, or every day after school, my parents picked us up, and we'd have to go back to work with them before we drove home. So I literally was fishing every single day in the very northern part of the California Delta, or the Delta up there.
Okay.
It's in the port of Sacramento.
I know where you're at.
Big ships come up all the way to Sacramento, and they turn around, drop off rice, or they'd pick up rice because Northern California is a big rice area, so there's a lot of rice getting exported from there, and then they'd take it out. But that's where I grew up fishing, and I saw tidal water every single day. So still the smell of diesel and tide, man, I'm just when I smell that, I'm like, oh, heaven. This is amazing.
And the last time we were there, he won the event. So, yeah, I must have been going back to heaven again for him.
But
pretty impressive, that 10-pounder you caught, by the way, on the sight fishing there at the end. Runs out of gas on the way in and wins the tournament. But that was a cool moment. I remember it from that event.
So yeah, it was that was obviously an amazing event. But I grew up, you know, all around the Delta my whole life. I remember being on my dad's tugboats going out the Deepwater Channel out to the San Francisco Bay, and, you know, 9 years old and 10 years old. So I've always loved water. But then my grandpa was taking me fishing, and the thing, getting back to your point about Northern California, is my grandpa started taking me fishing just so we could spend time together. But we'd go one weekend at the Delta, so we're flipping reeds and throwing frogs, whatever. And the next weekend we would be at Oroville drop shotting in 70 feet of water. So it was like you had to be pretty decent at both of those. And I was fortunate that we signed up for those events, you know, like we kind of followed that little trail around. It was under 100 horsepower trail. Like it was, when I say start at the bottom, folks, like this is starting, we had a 90 horsepower and we were in the under 100 category. But, you know, every weekend it was something different and just mixing it up. So I'm just as comfortable flipping as I am. I could literally go out right now and drop shot in 70 feet of water, just like, you know, Ayler can do the same. I just grew up a little bit closer to a lot of the good stuff in Northern California. And, yeah, man. So I wouldn't be, you know, I definitely wouldn't be the fisherman I am without that. The first time I went was, I went to Havasu as a co-angler. I blanked. And this is right after I won that boat in the team tournament. I blanked, and there's this guy out there named Kent Brown. He's like, man, keep your head up. It's only one tournament. It was a real tough one. I literally didn't catch fish. And the next one, I won the boat at Shasta. So I won my second boat. And then I ended up winning. We had the National Guard Western Series out there, and I won 4 out of 8 of them as a co-angler. 2 at Columbia River, 1 at the Delta, 1 at Clear Lake.
Wow.
But, yeah, when I won the Columbia River, it was 2007. I hate, people don't like hearing this story, but I was going to community college, and I thought, you know, this isn't for me. And I remember packing my stuff up and walking out of class, and I went home, and my mom's like, you're supposed to be in school. I'm like, I know, Mom, but I got these tournaments coming up. I got one and, you know, now looking back, I'm like, man, they're co-angler. What can you do, you know, to actually win a co-angler? Like, it's hard to win a co-angler event. But I was like, just let me fish these tournaments. I got the boats. Just let me fish these 2 tournaments and see what happens. And I won them both. I made $50,000 in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And so, dude, yeah, my mom's like, well, I mean, give it a shot next year if you want. And I'm like, can I keep living here? And she's like, yeah, as long as you're being productive. I'm like, okay. So living at home, had the boat, you know, had a paid off boat, won in that kind of money. It made it easy to like kind of jump out and, you know. And then I just packed my car up one day. I met Clint Davis at the Iron Bowl, and Clint Davis is like, man, buddy, you know, you want to come live in Alabama? You're all talk. You can come live with me. I'm like, all right, I'll see you in January. I don't think you thought I was serious, dude. So I packed up my car in the first week of January and drove out. Me and Cody practiced the Red River in January on the way out, and it was like the most miserable thing ever. But anyway, I showed up at Clint's house, and he's like, yeah, buddy, $200 a month for rent, and you can stay here.
That's cheap.
And that's what I did, man. So stayed there like 6 or 7 months, and then ended up moving in with Kevin Hawk at Lake Gunnersville right after he won the Cup. And then I lived there, and shoot, I only live like 2 miles from where I lived with Kevin now with Bree. So, yeah, roots are down, getting pretty deep over there now. But, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of them.
Kevin Hawk is probably, what's the one, the younger guy that actually moved to Orlando and worked, their brothers. He won the Cup one year on a frog at Lake Murray.
Michael Bennett.
Michael Bennett. He quit. I said, what are you doing here in Bass Pro? He's in Bass Pro working. And I said, he goes, nah, I didn't care about that anymore after that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So, I mean, it was kind of weird. Him and his brother did it pro, and then they quit. Kevin Hawk won the Cup and tried to continue and quit.
Yeah. No. And even like Michael, like he was good enough to keep doing it. Obviously, he won like $1.2 million that year.
Yeah, that one year.
And he was 24
and he works he still he got a different job now, but for like 5 years he was just working at Bass Pro in Orlando. I'd go in there and he's same old guy, didn't even care, and didn't ever talk about fishing. When I'd see him, he wouldn't even bring up nothing about fishing. It was like it was Take the money and run. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think they want to do it. To be honest, I think they like what they got going. When something comes in their neck of the woods, they jump in it. If they win it, great. If they don't, they're out. They're not out nothing. But they're not committed to 7-8 month travel time all over the U.S. Pulling a boat and putting in all that time on the water.
That's the hardest.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
hardest part, dude. Is just being away from the
Yeah, I
family.
mean, you know, it's nice to get the family out to some things, but and let them see part of what you get to go through day in and day out. But it's kind of hard because when we're actually in an event, like I'm focused on that event, and it's 2 weeks of doing that by yourself. Then the family shows up, and of course they need you, but you're still working, and it's kind of hard to shift that gear. And it's tough for me because like when I get in and I get in the zone and I get to doing what I want to do, it's like, who cares what anybody is saying? And I think like you said, the local legends, and there'll still be several of them from here on out, they don't want to get outside of what they're doing. And I actually love what I'm doing now, and I love those weeks, not on the road, but when you're dialed in and you actually, there's nothing better than a fisherman than when you get dialed in on the fish and you know that this is a good opportunity if they bite to get that top 10 or that win, or how close can you get to winning. When you find them in practice, or if you're like at a cup event and you just go out there blind and you get on them, there's nothing better than that feeling when you're a fisherman. It's like, okay, this could be the one. You know, you get that excitement. That's what I drive for anymore, is when that first bite comes and then 4 more follow, and you're like, wow, I just cracked the code. And I don't think the other people really care about that anymore. They're like, we're just going to go fish that same lake the same way we always fish.
Hit our milk rod.
And we got our rod. We got our same 6 rods.
Nothing wrong with that.
And that's it. And
that's a personal trait, you know, whether you like that or not. So it's
I don't even have to go practice Kissimmee half the time if I want to fish. Justin probably doesn't have to. He probably didn't practice much. Last time I fished a tournament in Kissimmee, I won. The last one we fished at the Delta, Justin won. He probably didn't even need to practice that much. And that's what's cool about it, is we know those lakes. But when you go to somewhere that you've had a bad event or it's something brand new and you get that code cracked, it's like,
Hawaii.
golly,
Hawaii was a cool one.
Hawaii was a cool one.
I just love fishing new
He
bodies of
cracked the
water.
code, and then I run 86 miles the next day. I ran my Phoenix till it was half a tank of gas, and I started fishing. And I wasn't in good shape in the tournament.
Plan, huh? He's not even looking at the map. He's like, I'm going to run until I get half a tank.
It's not like he said, go look for that. He said, here's the way I'm catching them. And I said, where? And he goes, this 20-mile stretch. Well, he knows this, because I said, well, I'm going to run till I don't see nobody. And I'm not kidding you. I ran and I ran and I ran and I ran and I ran. He threw me some baits. Of course, it was the Berkley Power Bait Maxent Flatworm. It's still the hottest smallmouth catching bait in the world. But I ran 86 miles. When I got back that day, I had like 14 pounds, which wasn't bad. Made the cut. And when I filled up with gas, I thought that I had 7 more gallons in the boat. So the next day, I run that far plus another 3 more gallons of gas because I knew I could get back, and I was coming back calm. But those are the cool things. It's
That's
like,
fun.
golly,
That's fun.
That's good stuff, though. He cracked the code, shared it with me a little bit, and then I just went to a completely whole different region, basically, and just went fishing, and it was so cool. And I caught like hundreds and hundreds of them, and I'm like, this is fun. Yeah. That was
He's
cool.
clued me in plenty of times though too. So
Yeah,
it wasn't. That's not a one-way.
Try
street.
this. Oh yeah, wow, this works really good. Or he'll say, dude, if you get in a bind, try this. I mean, it's nice when you do get that thing done. That's the difference between us and the local guys. They'll just show up and fish. We love to go to different places. We have a true respect for the the art and the you know, everything that else that comes behind bass fishing. I mean, it really is. It's something most guys can't come out here and do what we do. Guys fish one day on the water and tell me, dude, I don't know how you can do that for 7 days in a row. I'm like, it's natural.
Yeah.
It's natural.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Almost, right. But that's where we usually start. And then we'll work our way back.
I tried doing that at the last cup, and everybody caught him right at the ramp.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that didn't work out so well.
But also, you start at the farthest point and you start working your way back. And be like, okay, well, I've eliminated this and this and this and this. And usually it's either good or it's like, okay, throw all them away and reload with 5 more rods and see what happens. Yeah, I'm hoping Brent Ayler actually goes golfing today. We're going to have a little side match. I think Justin got jammed up today with some stuff to do later this afternoon. But, yeah, I don't care if the wind's blowing or not. The sun's actually out, and it's not 100 degrees like it is in Florida. It was actually cooling off when I got to that hurricane that had gone through. No damage, but just a lot of rain. But anytime I get the chance to go to a new golf course anywhere, I try to take advantage and play at least one course, and then buy a hat or a shirt and take it back to the house. And just because it's cool. I mean, that's what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Sure do.
Yeah. I would say his ability to flip mats and understand mats. I need a little help in that department. Yeah.
I would take his ability away of being so damn.
I don't even know what he's going to say. This is weird.
He's got everything in place perfect all the time. He is so anal. If you took that away from him, he'd go crazy.
I'm sitting here trying to learn something. You're trying to take something from me to make me worse. What game is this called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for dropping in, you guys.
Our pleasure. Thanks for having us, Joel.